So the topic of our discussion here today is unlocking the next 100x in healthcare. So very happy to have with us CEO, CGH, Prof. As well as Dr. Charlene Liew, who is Director at Cardiothoracic Imaging and also leads the AI office effort in CGH, as well as many other national platforms. So I'll just dive right in because this is unfortunately, we don't have that much time. I think I'm just given about 25 minutes. I have prepared a whole list of questions. I hope to go through them, but if not, I'll dive through the ones that I think could be the most interesting for our audience here. So most of us at some point will experience care not as a system, but through someone we love. And when that happens, innovation, I think, becomes very personal. Right? It is not about a more advanced device or efficient workflow, but it's about giving someone just more time with us, right? And better quality of life, dignity to live well. And Singaporeans are living longer too. What is our expectancy? You have it 44 years old.
The life expectancy is about 83 before, but actually the health adjusted life expectancy is 74. So there's actually what I call a 10-year mobility gap. So therefore I grow until I'm 74. After that, I am expected to spend the next 10 years of my life before I pass on being ill. So that is what we're trying to narrow.
Means 74 is higher to the left.
I want to bring that 74, the health adjusted life expectancy, all the way up to final life. So that's a very narrow, what I call a mobility gap, or even no mobility at all times.
And so that also means that we can't simply deliver more care in the same way, right? Something has to change. And just looking around the world, and we've just gotten some data points here, is that, actually the center of gravity is shifting towards Asia when you talk about innovation in biotech and medtech, right? According to the FDA, from 2021 to 2025, around 30% of pre-market notifications, which is the submissions used to show that the medical device is safe and effective and substantially equivalent to an existing legally marketed device, actually came from Asia. And so demand is also rising alongside supply. I think according to Bain, Asia's share of global medtech demand is expected to reach $132 billion by 2030, growing at a 6.9% CAGR, well ahead of the global rate of 5.5 in Asia. So when I was talking about the next 100x in healthcare, for investors, we know what that means. 100 times returns. And of course, returns to our LPs are key. But the step before that really is how might innovation produce a step change in the outcome for our patients, clinicians, and healthcare systems. So this question to both of you, from your different perspectives, what does the next 100x in healthcare look like? And which unmet healthcare challenge should innovators, or in this room, prioritize?
Ladies first.
Gosh, this is the $1 million question, right?
Yeah.
So I think the next 100 bagger is already in Asia. It's waiting to be discovered. The ideas are probably already there. I think we are actually at this point in time when, with the advent of AI, what we're seeing is this gigantic, what we call the innovation trigger. So we refer to the valley of death, so that's actually part of the Gartner Hype cycle. So it starts with an innovation trigger. So the innovation trigger has already happened, and so now we're just a few years away from the next 100x being developed in Asia. So Asia, as you say, I think is the most exciting innovation and investment region in the world right now. And
there's a lot of progress, and I think the momentum will be even greater, right, with AI and agentic AI. So that actually will push the whole paradigm and move forward with various technology. All that will actually push innovation into greater heights. And in Asia, it's the place to be. In particular, in Singapore, I think we are a nexus of trust, right, where the East meets the West. So in that sense, even though we are just a little red dot, not much hinterland, not much family, but I think there's a lot of trust from the West as well as from the East. So we are always friends with everybody, like Clin always says, so we are trusted. So I think we have that leverage to actually then impact and be the center of innovation in healthcare. And with AI driving this, will get even better, and maybe not just good times and real lots of times. But I think there's a lot of potential, and we have the first world kind of health system needs, so that actually helps us. We are connected to ASEAN, we are connected to China, so I think it's very, very rich fertile ground to actually really start harvesting, start hunting for innovation and harvesting for innovation.
So, Prof, you actually meet many teams as well, and when they come to you, so this is perhaps one for the founders in this room, right? When a founder approaches a hospital with a solution, right, what are the top 3 questions that come to mind that you kind of want to understand from the founder to allow you to think that it could be useful to you and for you to say, yes, let's try it out?
Yeah, so a few things. One is, of course, what is the problem that the startup is trying to solve, right? So a lot of times, the challenge is trying to understand the problem from the solution. A lot of times, the solution comes out, but I start wondering what is the actual problem that the solution was meant to meet and address, right? So that's one. What is the problem that we're trying to address? What is the unmet need that we are also trying to address? How does it fit into the whole scheme of things, all right? And can it be implemented on the ground? And does it make sense? And also, what are the other products on the market? What are other solutions? So I think all this need to make sense. And at the end of the day, also is how scalable, scalable is this product? What is the cost involved? What is the savings on that from this implementation? All that needs to be considered if you really want to script and make it accessible to everybody.
You have to be sure to add that into the elevator pitch. Anything to add on that?
Charlene?
So how do we identify the companies? So I would say, from having gone through an innovation journey or several innovation journeys myself, look for the right founders, so the person who's leading is very important. There is this secret sauce, and I think we've been looking for this X factor, as you put it. Sam Altman, who used to be the CEO of YC, Y Combinator, he actually spends time collecting data at YC to look at all his startup founders. And he said the one single common denominator was resilience. And Theodora, I think you touched upon resilience early on, characterized by, I think, the roots of Moringa tree and Changi tree. We need to look for people who we know are resilient. And how do you know that? How do you know if a person is resilient? So chart their entire journey. So it may not be an innovation, but look at if they run a project that took many years, a lot of grit, a lot of effort, where they faced a lot of obstacles, made mistakes along the way, but they recovered and they became stronger. So look for those individuals.
Thank you. So be sure to include what they just said into your elevator pitch. So going into the topic of AI, since you mentioned also Sam Altman, and also Dr. Charlene, you lead the AI office here at CGH. Could you just share, based on what you've been looking at from the AI office, how has AI already been changing patient care? And what goes behind the scenes actually in your office, moving, to move an idea from a promise to a safe and useful deployment?
Okay, so what we've actually deployed in CGH in terms of AI in clinical, so we have actually over 100 AI projects. About 10% have gone into deployment, but only a very small minority actually touch the clinical aspect, so it actually directly affects patient care. So 1.5 years ago, we actually went live a chest X-ray AI model, which was housed on a national AI platform which we call ASG. So that actually went live, and we've been collecting all the data. We want to be very sure that we are data-driven, so that we know what outcomes we expect and whether we meet those targets. So we've actually demonstrated up to 70%, so this is the upper limit, up to 70% reduction in terms of reporting a chest X-ray with an urgent finding. So that's a huge difference. But then we must remember that, of course, urgent X-rays are the minority of cases, but these are actually X-rays you want to do. So we actually demonstrated with real-world data, and real-world data is actually very precious. So that's one example I can give you. We've also learned a lot of, how to navigate deployment and post-deployment along the way. So these are very useful lessons that we picked up. And really, I think we cannot have learned those things unless we deploy. So that's actually something that's very valuable from this deployment. It's not just, of course, the patient outcome is the most important, but what do you learn along the way, being at the frontier? Because at the frontier, no one has been there before. So anything that you learn is actually very valuable to the entire community, to the entire world. So we share our findings as well by publishing to the global audience. So that's one example of deployment and its impact. And so I think we earlier were talking about sharing about how we go about doing things in AI office and CGH. So we've done something that's quite new, I think, in the public healthcare system in Singapore. And we have this round table, right? So you picture in the Knights of Camelot, the round table. We emphasize that we are at a round table, and we have a committee which we call the AI and Digital Committee. So each representative from a business unit in this hospital, so we have pharmacy, allied health, finance representatives, HR as well. So clinical, obviously, surgical, all sitting in the same room at a round table. Everyone has the same voice. Everyone has the same equal weight in giving their opinions. So we can actually use each other as a sounding board, completely flat hierarchy. So that's how we do things. And we invite those clinical teams, those teams that apply for grants or innovation grants to come to our round table and to actually do an elevator pitch or a Shark Tank kind of meeting, so that they get very frank and open sharing with what works, what doesn't work, how we can help you, how do we actually reduce friction to innovation. So that's how we are adopting something quite new, I think, in the public health sector.
So I think, like Charlie said, there are a lot of clinical applications of technology, and so she mentioned some examples. I think we're also venturing into creating clinical decision support for ED, for example. We're working on a project with NTU to see how AI can help us create an LLM to help us manage elderly patients who come to ED. We're partnering with both NHG Health as well as SingHealth, the EDs, to see how to manage this. But the human are still being good. So clinical decision support is one example. We should create a digital twin of the ED to help in operational things. So other than the clinical care, I think there are lots of other uses of technology that we can use to actually help the healthcare provider make us work smarter, right? Without losing quality of work that we do. So nobody where there's verbal translation of what we say or that start to reduce the load, right, on the individuals who practice medicine. And actually what technology does is therefore help us to then automate some processes, a lot of these processes that actually don't need the humans. Of course, the humans still are in the loop, but ultimately allow, like I said, the humans to spend more time holding the hand of the patient, talking to the patient, all right, which the human part, the machines can replace. But the machines and AI, all that can help us to do some of the repetitive stuff, stuff that is not so human, right, and therefore allow healthcare providers to spend more time looking in patients' eyes, giving that care and compassion to the patient, which is the basic value, the basic purpose of healthcare that we do, right?
And yes, congratulations again for receiving the recognition of being Newsweek at the top smart hospital this year again.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, looking at the many novel ways in AI, let me just shift to sort of the next 5 to 10 years ahead, right? So, looking ahead, which deep tech development do you hope will have the greatest impact on healthcare? And what is maybe one action on your part of the ecosystem that can now make it a reality?
Okay, so I think if I have the answer to that, I would probably be actually, doing well right now. I would have quit my job, and yeah. So it's extremely difficult to identify what is the next big thing. I would say that most likely, from my personal, educated guess, it is addressing a very big clinical or healthcare need. And of course, aging is one of the largest challenges that we face in healthcare. It is a root cause of many of the challenges we face in healthcare. So perhaps target the big problem, so longevity, unhealthy aging. So how do we actually preserve a healthy lifespan? So maybe target the big problem, number one. Number two, make sure that you have enough capital. So capital is hugely important. If that is something that's unique about Singapore, in this region, Asia, and you said the 100 baggers already here in Asia, what's different about Singapore is we have capital efficiency. We have governance that works. We have companies like Moringa that can help to ease the friction. So be in the right place, connect with the right people. So I think those two are the ingredients to success. Thank you.
So of course, agentic AI will become more powerful, more fast, less black box, more glass box, and as we move forward. But what we want to achieve is 2 P's. One is precision medicine. So as we harness the data, we make the data more relevant to our population. Right? That will help us to identify the precision, the health, my health in a more precise fashion. So precision medicine is going to come more and more, not just genomics, but all the other data parameters that map me, who I am, right? What I do, my behavior, what my genes are, and so on and so forth. So all that will be very powerful, and I think it will become even more powerful, it will become even more personalized to the individual. So the first piece is personalized medicine, and the next piece is predictive. All right? We will not just describe, but we will allow us to predict as we move forward. How I will age, what will become 5 years time, based on various parameters. But I think the technology is big enough and strong enough to be able to do that. So both precision and predictive medicine will become reality in some form or other.
Thank you. And with that, I think the short answer to the question about 100x in healthcare, it may not be just found in any one part of this ecosystem, but really takes all of us coming together. So thank you so much for sharing your insights and also